Imagine, if you will, a multinational corporation.
Right.
And they have just spent, I don't know, $50 million building an absolutely impenetrable digital fortress. We are talking state-of-the-art zero-trust architecture, biometric access protocols tied to physical hardware keys, and like an entire floor of security analysts just staring at glowing
A
screens.
real masterpiece of modern enterprise security.
Exactly. It's airtight. And yet their entire system, all those trade secrets and financial records, it just gets completely compromised. Why?
Well, because of the weakest link.
Right, because the CEO's teenager was sitting on the living room couch on the family Wi-Fi and absentmindedly clicked a bad link in a text message while downloading, a mod for a video game. Welcome to the cybersecurity reality of Thursday, August 6, 2026.
It really is a sobering image, isn't it? I mean, the corporate gates are locked with military-grade encryption, but the secret tunnel under the moat, which just so happens to run straight through the CEO's living room, is wide open.
It is wide open, and that is the exact paradigm shift we are getting into today for you, our listener. You sent us an incredibly detailed document titled CyberknightMike PIPS.pdf.
Yeah, a fascinating read.
It really is. And our mission for this deep dive is to explore how, right now in 2026, the front line of cyber warfare has completely relocated. It has moved away from those slick corporate headquarters and directly into the living rooms, the kitchens, and the pockets of billionaires and high net worth individuals.
Yeah, the target has fundamentally changed.
Exactly. And we're going to look at how a totally new breed of digital bodyguard is stepping up to protect them. But to start us off, let's establish the baseline. Why is the physical home suddenly the absolute biggest liability for these highly protected people?
Well, it all comes down to the collapse of what the industry used to call the four walls. I mean, traditional corporate security is incredibly good at protecting assets inside those physical and digital four walls.
Right, like when you're actually at the office.
Exactly. When an executive is at the office, they are shielded by enterprise-grade, multi-million-dollar infrastructure. Every packet of data is inspected. But the moment they go home,
They step right outside that bubble.
they do. They step outside that protective bubble. Criminals know that the corporate network is locked down tight, so they pivot. They go after the soft underbelly.
Meaning the family ecosystem.
Yes, the family ecosystem is basically the new battleground. Attackers are shifting their focus from the heavily guarded billionaire to what the industry calls soft targets.
So who are we talking about here?
We are talking about their kids, their spouses, their personal assistants, their vendors, and even their elderly relatives.
Which is it's like building an impenetrable bank vault with laser grids and armed guards, but then leaving the back window of the bank manager's private home just, wide open.
That's actually a perfect analogy.
But I want to push back on this premise for a second, though, because if we are talking about high net worth individuals, billionaires, these people already have massive security details.
Sure they do.
We're talking former Secret Service, ex-Mossad agents standing outside their gates. If the threat is extortion or kidnapping, why does it matter if a kid's iPad gets hacked when they have literal armed guards at the perimeter? I mean, why isn't physical security enough to stop digital threats?
That's a highly logical assumption, but it fundamentally misunderstands the bridge between digital vulnerability and physical danger in the modern era. What's fascinating here is how attackers use digital access to entirely bypass those physical guards.
Oh, wow. Bypass them completely.
100%. A prime example is the mechanism of swatting.
Right, which the document you shared with us mentions heavily. Let's break down how that actually works for the listener.
Well, swatting isn't just making a prank phone call anymore. Hackers compromise a device inside the home, say that teenager's iPad, or maybe a smart speaker.
Okay.
And they use that compromised device to spoof the home's IP address and voice-over IP protocols. So they contact local emergency dispatch centers, making it appear to the 911 operator that the call is originating from inside the mansion.
That's wild.
And then they report a horrific, violent crime in progress, like a hostage situation or a murder.
So the local police department's tactical unit responds, heavily armed, expecting a literal firefight.
Exactly. The ex-Mossad guards at the gate are suddenly confronted by local SWAT teams who believe the guards might be the hostage takers.
Oh my God.
The digital threat instantly escalates into a lethal, chaotic, physical confrontation. It completely neutralizes the traditional security detail.
That is terrifying. It's essentially using the local police as a weapon.
Yes.
And you don't need to breach a corporate firewall to do that. You just need to hack a smart fridge or a gaming console.
And that's just the physical danger. I mean, on the financial side, children and elderly relatives are exceptionally vulnerable to social manipulation.
Because they aren't trained for this stuff.
Right. An attacker doesn't need to crack a password if they can just, manipulate a lonely elderly parent into handing over sensitive family schedules. Or they trick a child playing an online game into installing a backdoor payload.
And then that payload just migrates to the CEO's work laptop when they share the same Wi-Fi network later that night.
Precisely.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because when we talk about digital scams, there is an assumption that savvy billionaires and their highly educated family offices aren't going to fall for like a standard Nigerian prince phishing link.
Right. And they won't.
But the tools have completely changed, haven't they? We are dealing with an entirely different ecosystem of synthetic media now.
The tools have evolved at a breakneck pace. It's driven almost entirely by the explosive evolution of generative AI. We are no longer talking about generic, mass-emailed phishing attempts.
Not at all.
Generative AI has obliterated the barrier to entry for synthetic media. And it's not just the creation of the media, it's how it's fueled.
Yeah.
The AI models are being fed directly by automated API scraping of data broker sites.
Right, places like whitepages.com, which the source material calls out specifically.
Yeah, but these aren't just phone books anymore. These data brokers are massive aggregated databases. Hackers use automated scripts to pull a CEO's property records, their spouse's maiden name, their children's school districts, their flight logs.
Basically, their entire life footprint.
Exactly. And they feed that structured data into an AI model, along with a high-fidelity voice clone generated from maybe a 3-second clip of an earnings call.
That is so incredibly easy to find. So the data from Black Cloak, which is a firm that pioneered this space in the source document, it shows that 42% of executives have already been targeted by a fake image or video.
It's a huge number.
And 59% of those executives say deepfakes are very difficult to detect. So let's walk through the mechanics of a hyper-personalized attack. How does this actually play out mechanically?
Let's look at the classic 2 a.m. voice note scenario.
Okay, set the scene.
You are the personal assistant to a prominent CEO. Your phone buzzes in the middle of the night. You play the audio message.
Yeah.
And it's not just a robotic approximation of your boss. The AI has mapped the specific phonetic cadence of the CEO. It includes characteristic pauses, perhaps a signature sigh.
It sounds exactly like them.
It does. And furthermore, because the AI scraped the CEO's public flight logs, it dynamically injects background audio of a specific international airport terminal into the voice note.
Wait, really? It adds the background noise of where they're actually supposed to be.
Yes. So it sounds stressed. It sounds like they're stranded overseas at the exact airport they're actually traveling through, and they need you to authorize an urgent $500,000 transfer immediately.
And at 2 a.m., your critical thinking filters are down.
Completely down. The urgency overrides logical verification. Any audio artifacts that might give away a deepfake in a spectral analysis are completely masked to the human ear by that injected background noise.
So you trust your senses, and you initiate the wire transfer.
Exactly. You just do it.
Which means corporate boards can't just plug their ears and pretend the CEO's home life is a personal issue anymore. The bleed over is a direct threat to the company's bottom line.
The bleed over is the entire ballgame right now. And that brings us to the massive corporate shift happening in 2026. Because these attacks target the home to get to the enterprise, digital executive protection, or DEP, is now a board mandate.
It's required, yes.
It is no longer a perk, like a company car or something. Boards are viewing holistic DEP as an essential, non-negotiable part of their fiduciary duty.
Because if the CEO's identity gets compromised at home and a deepfake of them saying something market manipulating gets released, the company's stock price could tank the next morning.
It could plummet in minutes. Black Cloak predicts this shift will dominate the year. We are seeing a move from passive compliance, which is just ticking boxes on an annual security audit, to what they call privacy as active defense.
Active defense. I mean, that sounds aggressive. But the source material highlights a really specific mechanical problem with this. Just deleting your data from these broker sites isn't enough anymore. Why is that?
Well, because the internet of 2026 relies heavily on immutable infrastructure. When data is breached and dumped onto the dark web, it doesn't just sit on a server where you can send a legal takedown notice. It gets hashed and mirrored across decentralized networks.
So it's everywhere.
It lives there permanently, traded in underground markets. You literally can't scrub it away once it's out there. Therefore, Active defense requires self-healing systems that can predict risk and automatically patch vulnerabilities the moment they arise, rather than just trying to hide the data after the fact.
Here's where it gets really interesting, at least to me. We are talking about unbelievable amounts of money being thrown at this problem. The document you provided notes that global cybersecurity spend is forecasted to hit $522 billion in 2026.
That's staggering.
And $240 billion of that is a surge specifically for these AI-driven defenses.
Yeah, the financials really reflect the desperation here. Chris Pearson, the CEO of BlackCloak, is quoted saying, "The future of corporate security rests on the ability to aggressively defend the human element."
That is just incredible irony. I mean, think about the mechanics of this. AI has made it so phenomenally easy and cheap to scrape APIs and clone audio to attack the richest 0.001% of the population that these billionaires are now forced to spend enterprise-level money just to protect their kids' iPhones and the family Wi-Fi.
It really is a full circle moment.
But it makes me wonder, when a family office realizes they have this massive vulnerability, how do they actually implement a fix? I mean, they can't just buy a commercial antivirus software for the smart fridge, right?
Absolutely cannot.
No.
Because the threat is continuous, the defense has to be continuous and holistic. This need to defend the human element has given rise to a completely new paradigm of security.
Oh, right.
It's basically the ultimate 24/7 concierge solution. And this leads us to the core of the document and a figure named CyberknightMike.
CyberknightMike. As a branding exercise, I have to admit it's highly effective.
It is brilliant psychological positioning. According to the source, CyberknightMike saw this wave coming, quote, 7 ideas ago,
Way ahead of the curve.
long before the mainstream panic over AI deepfakes. He recognized that the family office was going to become the new enterprise to hack. He saw the vulnerability of the home network ecosystem.
But he didn't position his solution as just another sauce product or, a fancy firewall. He positioned himself as the Cyber Knight.
Which is exactly why it works so well for this specific demographic. I mean, for a non-technical billionaire who is suddenly terrified that their teenager's gaming PC is a backdoor into a multinational empire, emotional framing is everything.
But it makes him feel safe.
Exactly. A knight implies trust, loyalty, and unwavering personalized defense. It's not a faceless IT help desk operating on a ticketing system. It's a dedicated guardian. And the service ecosystem he offers is called PIPS.
POPS, Privacy ID Protection Service. The document compares this to a traditional physical bodyguard, which is a great starting point for you listening.
It's a very helpful framework.
Yeah, because the old-school bodyguard stands outside the mansion, protecting the physical body. PIPS stands outside the digital life, protecting the identity, the digital footprint, and the family ecosystem. But let's actually look at how this functions mechanically.
Okay.
Because scrubbing data and monitoring the dark web sounds great in theory, but how does PIPS execute this?
It operates through a highly integrated, multi-layered approach. The first layer is the privacy aspect, what they call the shield.
And how aggressive is this shield?
Very. The mechanics of this are aggressive. POPS doesn't just send polite emails asking data brokers to remove a client's information. It uses automated legal bots to continuously bombard over 200 data broker APIs with opt-out scripts and legal threats on a daily basis.
Wow, so it's an automated war of attrition against the data brokers.
Precisely. And concurrently, it masks the family's real emails, physical addresses, and phone numbers by routing everything through dynamically generated alias IDs.
Oh, I see.
The goal is to poison the well. If a hacker scrapes data to build a synthetic media profile, the data they pull is useless. That effectively neutralizes the risk of doxing and swatting we discussed earlier.
But as you pointed out earlier, data still leaks. If a third-party vendor gets breached, the CEO's data might end up on the dark web anyway.
Yeah.
So when the shield fails, how does the system react?
That triggers the active ID defense, which is known as the sword.
The sword, okay.
Right, and this isn't passive monitoring where you get an email alert 3 days after your password is stolen. This system has API hooks directly into the major credit bureaus and the client's financial institutions.
Okay.
If the system's algorithms detect that a credential or a social security number has leaked onto a dark web forum, it reacts in milliseconds.
It just auto-triggers a response.
Yes, it instantly freezes credit files, forces algorithm password rotations across all connected accounts, and initiates automated takedown protocols. It strikes back against the threat before the human client even realizes there was a breach.
Man, so you have automated legal scrubbing and automated API-level defense. But you mentioned earlier that defending the human element is the future of corporate security. Automated systems can't contextualize human behavior.
No, they can't. And that is the crucial limitation of purely digital solutions. Which brings us to the element that truly elevates this to a bodyguard-level service, the concierge.
The human element of the defense.
Software can't physically configure a home network. The concierge is a dedicated team of human security experts who physically and digitally harden the home environment. Let's look at network segmentation, for example.
Okay, let's talk about the smart home setup.
The average smart home in 2026 is loaded with IoT devices, smart thermostats, internet-connected security cameras, Wi-Fi-enabled appliances. These devices often have terrible native security and run on outdated, unpatchable operating systems.
Right, so if a hacker compromises the smart thermostat, they are inside the home network. And if the CEO's work laptop is on that same network, the hacker can move laterally from the thermostat straight to the corporate banking details.
Exactly right.
I like to think of network segmentation like building bulkheads on a submarine. If the smart fridge gets flooded with malware, you want to seal that compartment so it doesn't sink the entire vessel.
That is a perfect mechanistic metaphor. The concierge team sets up those bulkheads. They create entirely separate VLANs, virtual local area networks for IoT devices, for guests, for the kids' gaming consoles, and an air-gapped network strictly for the executive's corporate devices.
They lock it all down.
They change all default firmware passwords, yes.
And more importantly, they're the ones handling the communication protocols, right? Because corporate IT departments can secure an email server, but they can't secure a family WhatsApp group chat.
Exactly. The concierge establishes a circle of trust verification for out-of-band communication. And this circles back to our 2 a.m. deepfake scenario.
The frantic voice note from the boss.
Right. When that personal assistant receives the terrifying voice note asking for a $500,000 transfer, they have a protocol in place. They don't panic and send the money. They hit a dedicated panic button that immediately patches them through to the concierge.
And the human concierge contextualizes the threat. They run a spectral analysis on the audio looking for digital artifacts. They check the out-of-band communication channels. They utilize prearranged duress words.
Exactly. They neutralize the psychological attack using human logic.
Here.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the pitch to the billionaire client is profoundly simple. The document summarizes the entire ethos of PIPS perfectly. We don't protect your company. We protect you from being the way they get into your company.
Wow. The perimeter of enterprise security has completely collapsed down to the individual human being.
It really has.
So what does this all mean? For you listening right now, you might be thinking, well, I don't have a family office and I'm not the CEO of a multinational corporation, so why does the security of my smart fridge matter to me?
That's a fair question.
But if you look at the history of technology, it always trickles down. The same generative AI tools and automated data scraping algorithms that criminals are using right now to clone a CEO's voice will eventually, and probably very soon, be cheap enough and automated enough to target everyday consumers at scale.
It is an inevitable progression of the tech cycle.
Yeah. Your personal digital footprint, the data floating around on broker APIs, the lack of network segmentation in your own home, that is becoming everyone's greatest vulnerability, not just the ultra-rich. The concept of needing an automated digital bodyguard like PIPS might seem like a high-end luxury today, but it could absolutely be the baseline standard for consumer security tomorrow.
This raises an important question, though, and it's something really worth pondering as we look toward the future of this AI arms race. We've talked extensively about these self-healing, API-driven defensive fortresses that services like CyberknightMike are building.
Right, the automated bulkheads.
Right. If defensive AI continues to evolve at this rate, and these digital fortresses truly become impenetrable, where every deepfake is instantly caught by spectral analysis, every unauthorized transfer is blocked at the API level, and every digital identity is perfectly masked, what do the criminals do?
Well, they don't just give up and get day jobs.
No, they find the path of least resistance. Could this hyper-advanced, self-healing technological age ironically force cybercriminals to revert back to old-fashioned physical extortion? If they can't hack the smart fridge or clone the voice because the digital wall is too high, do they just go back to kicking in the front door? Which, if you think about it, would make traditional physical human bodyguards more essential than ever before, creating an endless loop between physical and digital security.
That is a terrifying but entirely logical thought to end on. The digital wall gets so high they have to go back to breaking windows?
Precisely.
For everyone listening, take a moment today to think about your own digital footprint. Think about the document we explored today. Maybe look into how your own home network is segmented, or see what data is sitting out there on those broker APIs. Because as we've learned today, the most dangerous cyber threat isn't always at the office sometimes. It's just a bad link sitting on the living room Wi-Fi.